and welcome to iBuzz. I'm your host Nosheen Bukhari, bringing you the best entertaining and fun news from showbiz world. In today's episode, we will also review a very interesting 2018 drama, Bohemian Rhapsody. Now let me quickly take you to the top stories of the day. Jodie Smith says Meghan Markle could have modernized royal family. It's a terribly missed opportunity. Dave Bautista reacts to criticism of WWE's Army of the Dead zombie invasion. Ariana Grande marries Dalton Gomez in an intimate ceremony. Alicia Keys to mark 20th anniversary of debut album with Billboard Music Award performance. And Anthony Mackie said he doubted Marvel would be able to adapt to television. And now moving to the top story of the day. Jodie Smith has some thoughts on Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's exit from their roles as senior working members of the royal family. The British actress who plays Queen Anne Boleyn, one of King Henry VIII's ill-fated wives, weighed in how Meghan could have modernized the royal family before she and Harry stepped back from their royal duties last year. To have further discussion on this, we have broadcast journalist Jamie Lowe with us. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Hi, good to be here, Nosheen.
So, Jamie, tell us about your thoughts on a statement like this coming from an artist for an artist. I mean, telling Meghan that she missed an opportunity, what exactly do we mean about the opportunity?
Maybe Jodie thought she was just making a throwaway comment, but it's turned into something. Now, I don't believe that Jodie was trying to take a stab at Meghan Markle, trying to, punch a jibe towards her. I think it's more the fact that she's a bit sad that, what could have been in this situation, because, we're seeing her as a black person, a person of color, a dark-skinned person of color, play a queen herself, a royal herself. So, maybe she is quite reflective on the current political situation around Meghan and her own role. So I don't think this is a comment that I'm shocked by, but I'm not surprised either by the press.
So you think that it was blown out of proportion, because some critics say that this can be, a professional comparison because Meghan is trying to make his way back to Hollywood. So probably that is the reason Jodie Turner has said something like this.
But listen, if Meghan wanted to try and make her way back to Hollywood, she couldn't do that as a senior working royal. So in a way, that's what Meghan's, I guess, had to do to keep her social status. I don't think Harry and Meghan were ever going to disappear, and we've seen that with their Apple TV show that's coming out soon. We saw a trailer which caused a lot of argument right here in the UK. At the end of last week, and then of course the podcast with Spotify.
Correct.
Yeah, I don't think Meghan was ever going to get back to Hollywood while she was, living in the royal estates over here.
Right. So in a parallel universe, just if we presume that Meghan had an opportunity to work on the entire family, do you think that this was possible? Because realistically speaking, this change is not a convenient approach.
No, I mean, what we've learned recently is the sort of the tense nature between the royal family and the press. And what I've learned recently over the last sort of 18 months or so is how carefully the royal family managed that relationship. So I it's just a theory, but I've got a sneaking suspicion that Meghan was sort of thrown onto the fire to divert attention away from other much more damaging stories to the family. So I think, yes, there was every chance there, but circumstances had another future waiting for Meghan. But we've got to think back to Prince Philip. When he joined the royal family, he was a modernizer. He brought cameras into the Queen's coronation, which is something that I think senior royals at the time were very scared of. So it's interesting to me that Meghan wasn't afforded that same benefit of doubt.
So, Jamie, the royals are also rumored to be not on talking terms after the Meghan and Harry episode. So, do you think that this can be a reason behind such statements, because people are kind of disappointed? They didn't see this coming. All their lives, they have seen royal families to be, very intact. And now, when such episodes are happening, do you think that such statements were expected to come out from the people?
I've been arm's length to the royal family and their history for much of my life so far, and I think what this current situation has done, it's made me interested in past royal scandals, of which there are many. The whole Charles and Diana, Andrew and Fergie. Lots of things have happened which have caused the royal family to be in some quite difficult situations with both the press and the public, and I think this is just a cycle that keeps on going.
This is not the first time it's happening to the royals.
No, absolutely not. And I think for myself, what this has done is it sort of made me think about what I actually think about the royal family, my opinions, and it's allowed me to maybe not take them for granted as I would have done before, and actually sort of read into the decisions that were made. But we've got to imagine the Queen at close to 100 years old isn't making the day-to-day decisions, and then that makes me think, well, who is actually running the monarchy? Because it's not Harry, is it? It's not Harry if there's such a difficult relationship between them.
Right. Meghan and Harry have even, come up with their own TV show. We just spoke about it a few minutes ago. It's on mental health, sharing their experiences and journey in this way. Do you think that this step will make a difference for the couple to, win their position back, which is, after all, it is kind of deteriorated after that bombshell interview?
Yeah, I mean, and there's a cynic inside of me which says the whole thing that came out about Meghan's mental health was quite a nice tee-up, a nice PR route to the current series, which is about to be released on Apple TV, I believe. But then, aside, mental health has been one of Harry's main sort of campaigns for most of his public life, most of his adult public life. Anyway, he's been very open about, the tragedy with Diana and his parents' relationship and what that did to him mentally as a child. So, it's always been something of a focus for him. So I don't think I'm ultimately surprised, but I think there are some sort of straight, it makes sense that a mental health series has come out, is coming out from previous comments made by the couple, definitely.
Right. And Jodie has also said that she thinks that this is the reason there is a dysfunction in the royal family. I mean, at the same time, she has criticized the royal family as well. Do you expect Meghan and Harry to come up with a reply?
I don't think they're going to respond to Jodie's comment per se. I think they will no doubt have to respond to the inevitable criticism that will follow their TV program. We don't know which direction that's going to go, how much of Harry's experience we're going to see in this show. But, Harry and Meghan have caused a few headaches for the royal family, even in their infancy as this separate entity. And I'm sure there's many more to come. But already, let's the royal family have had to deny being a racist family because of comments made by Harry and Meghan. So whatever happens, the royal family are going to have to face questions. They're going to have to attempt to save face for whatever comes next, potentially.
Right, but Jamie, don't you think that Meghan might have, made some moves in order to bring some changes, and then in the end she decided to exit the royal family? Do you think that she has already done something like that, so Jodie was not exactly supposed to pass this statement?
Well, I mean, Meghan probably tried. You've got to remember that Meghan was a public person before entering the royal family. If we compare her story to Diana's, there were two very different people on entering the royal family. But maybe, I think that's what Harry and Meghan are making out anyway, that they lived very similar experiences. So I remember from the interview with Oprah Winfrey, Meghan was talking about the fact that she wanted to go and meet friends, you know, on Kensington High Street for lunch, but the royal officials, the aides and the advisors said, no, that's not going to happen because you've been too public recently. You've been in the papers too much, because of course she goes for lunch on a sunny in a restaurant, sitting outside a restaurant on a sunny table with some friends. The paparazzi is going to be all over it, and it's going to create a news story.
Right.
And Meghan wasn't happy with that. She wouldn't just sit in the palace and waste away her life.
Right. And Jamie, like, we know that Meghan is an artist. She's an actress who is thinking now, I mean, there are rumors, there are news that she's thinking of resuming her career in Hollywood. And that's why she thought of exiting rather than consuming her energies in a tiring process of bringing change in the royal family. Do you agree with this?
She's an actress. That's how she made her name. It'd be interesting to see if Harry gives it a go too. I doubt that very much so. But, you know, she's got to do something, hasn't she? And whatever she's going to do, she's going to be criticised. So it wouldn't surprise me if she ended up being an actress. But, I mean, she's going to come with a pretty high price tag nowadays.
Right. Pretty high price for speaking the truth, maybe. So,
Maybe,
Jamie, thank you very much indeed for being with us.
Thanks a lot.
That was Jamie Lowe with his thoughts on Jodie Turner's statement about Meghan Markle. Now moving to other story details. Actor Dave Bautista has responded to a fan's criticism of the recent WWE Backlash fight featuring zombies as part of a cross-promotion effort between the company and streaming platform Netflix for Army of the Dead. The former wrestler stars in the Zack Snyder film as the leader of a mercenary group heading into Las Vegas to pull off a casino heist in the midst of zombie apocalypse. Pop star Ariana Grande has married her fiancé Dalton Gomez in a tiny and intimate wedding ceremony. The 27-year-old American singer tied the knot in front of fewer than 20 people over the weekend. Ms. Grande announced in December she was engaged to the Los Angeles estate agent, 25 years old Dalton Gomez. Their wedding took place at her home in California, according to reports. Alicia Keys has come up with the perfect way to celebrate the 20th anniversary of her star-making debut album, Songs in A Minor, which was released in 2001. She'll perform a medley of songs from that prized album of the Billboard Music Awards, which will broadcast live from the Microsoft Theater in Los Angeles on Sunday, May 23rd. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier star Anthony Mackie was originally skeptical about the Marvel Cinematic Universe translating to television. During an interview at the 2021 MTV Movie Awards, Mackie was asked if he ever thought about a TV series when he was making his first Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, 2014's Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Mackie answered that he was very skeptical and very surprised about the idea of a TV series. He didn't think they would be able to translate on the television what they do on film. Mackie also told that he was blown away and surprised by how well they were able to keep the amazing scope of the film. And like Anthony, the fans are also blown away with this new move by Marvel Universe. We will be right back after a quick short break. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned. Welcome back. In this segment, we will be reviewing the 2018 drama Bohemian Rhapsody. Bohemian Rhapsody, a 2018 musical drama film directed by Bryan Singer from a screenplay by Anthony McCartan. The film tells the story of the life of Freddie Mercury, the lead singer of the British rock musical band Queen. To discuss this further, we have film critic Matt Capon with us. Matt, how are you?
I'm really good, thanks. How are you?
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So, Rami Malek, such a fine actor that you really thought it was Freddie Mercury. The voice, the gestures, the movement. everything. What are your thoughts on him?
He completely embodied the iconic figure that was Freddie Mercury in that film. Sitting in the cinema for the first time, watching Bohemian Rhapsody, seeing Rami Malek really fill himself with the spirit of Freddie Mercury. It was really a sight to behold. I thought it was incredible.
Yeah. And if you look at Queen Live Aid 1985 versus Bohemian Rhapsody 2018 Live Aid, they were almost identical.
Oh, it was a phenomenal piece of cinematic magic that you saw there. And I remember, as do so many other people, watching that broadcast in 1985, and it really took me back to being that little kid sitting in the living room of my grandmother's bungalow watching that broadcast for the first time. It really captured that magic of that show. I loved it. I really, really did.
Right. And also, Matt, the epic music drama added to this film, the electrifying performances. What were your initial thoughts when the movie was about to release? I mean, were you expecting all of this coming this realistically?
Well, you have to remember that Bohemian Rhapsody was originally announced around 2010, so it took 8 years to get the film into cinemas. And you always have to be a little bit cautious about these biopics. Sometimes they don't really capture the essence of the subject. But there was a flamboyance about Queen that this film really captured, and I thought it was a really enjoyable journey into the past with Queen's music.
Right, and it is also said that Rami Malek was given pretty tough time while achieving this role. I mean, there were quite a few times he were auditioned, then there were other people who were auditioned. They didn't want to bring him, but what an amazing work in the end he seemed to be doing, and that too pretty effortlessly.
Oh yeah, absolutely, because of course, originally it was going to be Sacha Baron Cohen, who actually does bear a much more striking physical resemblance to Freddie Mercury. And Rami Malek, I remember lots of people were raising eyebrows. Could he really do the role justice? And frankly, now, the other side of the release, I couldn't imagine anyone else playing Freddie Mercury on screen. I really couldn't.
Right, and this also, you know, ended up for him being the Oscar Award winner.
Completely deserved in my mind. Now, of course, I know that the film is imperfect in many respects, but his portrayal of Freddie and the story of Freddie Mercury coming to terms with his HIV diagnosis and the falling apart and bringing back together of Queen prior to the Live Aid concert, it really summed up that journey for me.
Right, and also, Matt, this was an impactful movie that actually showed the rising side of an artist along with his struggles. I mean, normally what we see in movies is that an artist is, you know, continuously struggling, he's being bitter. But in this movie, they showed the brighter side of Freddie.
They really did. You saw the beginnings of Farouk Bulsara, Freddie's original name, and you saw the coming together of Queen, what really brought them together to begin with, and how Freddie's flamboyance and ability to capture the imagination really led to a certain amount of magic being brought together when Brian May, Roger Taylor came together, and of course the legend that is John Deacon.
Right, right. And of course, Bryan Singer. Who could go wrong with Bryan Singer? You know, movies coming from Bryan Singer, they're amazing.
Yeah, they really are. But again, remember, this film, as I said, it wasn't without its controversy, and Bryan Singer having to step away from the project, and Dexter Fletcher coming in halfway through production. And of course, that Dexter Fletcher also directed the Elton John biopic, Rocket Man. So he was very much familiar with that era and being able to portray a biopic in a really creative and enjoyable way.
Right. And Matt, of course, we grew up watching Freddie Mercury and, you know, the way the band evolved. So do you agree with storyline? Do you think that it was actually aligned with Freddie Mercury's real life?
I think it took some liberties, and I think that's been quite well regarded now, particularly with regards to the portrayal of Paul Prenter. During the downturn of Freddie's relationship with Queen, But you have to expect a certain level of embellishment in stories such as Bohemian Rhapsody. But I think as a story, as a journey that you go through from the beginning of Queen to that real pinnacle of that performance in Wembley, I think it really did it justice, and it's what a lot of people will remember.
Right, and a little bit of anger, popped up from other band members when they saw the movie, as if they felt being ignored from the story. Do you think so?
I did talk to a few critics after the film had come out, and there were elements to it that I thought we didn't see. But on reflection, I mean, such as how Freddie dealt with the onset of HIV and the onset of AIDS and his passing, and the real bringing together of celebrities at the time. We didn't see that in the film, but did we really need to see it? I don't think we did. It was about a joyous, upbeat time where Queen enjoyed a new lease of life, and that's really what mattered.
Right, and in terms of production value, of course, the camera work, Matt, how would you rate the movie?
Oh well, it comes back to what we said earlier on. It really is all about that performance in Wembley, how they mimic the gestures, and it's not just Rami Malek as well. It's the other actors.
Exactly.
I mean, how they all mimic the gestures and the interactions. It's Ben Hardy on drums. If you weren't aware of what Roger Taylor was like, Ben Hardy is Roger Taylor as a drummer. Yeah. It's uncanny. So I think there's a lot more at play, and a lot of people don't get the credit really they deserve.
Right, and yeah, talking about the resemblance, they were all uncanny, especially Rami Malek. I mean, not only the resemblance, but the resemblance in performance. I mean, he had been working really hard to get on that point.
Well, absolutely, and I believe the false teeth that he had to produce the overbite that was Freddie Mercury, but also you have the characters of Gwilym Lee, who played Brian May. He has that soft tone that Brian May in real life has, where you know there is an intellect there, an understanding about music, and that relationship between Brian May and Freddie Mercury, I think, is really, really touching. And you see the friendship there that really underpinned that musical partnership in Queen.
Right, and what were your favorite parts that actually, felt captivating for you while watching the movie?
One part that I really enjoyed, and I will watch again and again, was the cameo by Mike Myers as the first manager of Queen. Now, obviously, Mike Myers made famous Bohemian Rhapsody in Wayne's World, and it was a bit of a nod. It was a bit of a nod to that. I thought that was very, very enjoyable, and that's where you really first saw Rami Malek really embody the colourful character of Freddie Mercury. But also, I think when Freddie Mercury gets his diagnosis and he walks out of the hospital, the way that's very framed, emotional. That shot of him walking out of the hospital, it's such a somber tone, and it is very sad. Yeah.
And Matt, tell us 3 major reasons. Why would you recommend this movie to our viewers? And what are those 3 major reasons?
Well, the first reason can only be the music. The music of Queen is iconic. Everyone has a favourite Queen song, and they all feature in this film. So the music it is the perfect soundtrack. Rami Malek's performance as Freddie Mercury is tied for #1, but it would have to sit at #2 here. Rami Malek is Freddie Mercury, his journey, how he finds success, how he deals with success, and then how he finds love. Love with Jim Hutton. I think that's very touching, and his relationship with his wife Mary Austin. I think he captures that really well. And the third reason I think why I would recommend people to go and watch this film is that final performance in Wembley that ends the film. The sweeping wide shots across the crowd. It takes you back to 1985.
Exactly, very electrifying and glorious. Matt, thank you very much. It was very wonderful to have you on this discussion.
Thanks a lot.
That was Matt Capon with a detailed and a wonderful review on Bohemian Rhapsody. And that is it from today's episode. We will be back next time. Don't forget to share your feedback on the social media link mentioned down below. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care and goodbye.